Welcome to the Challenge Chronicles. I'm Devin Jordan. I'm with Trace Armstrong and Rob McIntyre. We are here to discuss season 38, episode 4 of the Challenge, Ride or Dies. Rob just made me aware of the episode title before we started because apparently this is something a lot of people know.
It's good SEO.
I was unaware of this. It probably is good SEO. Olivin on the Edge, episode 4. What did
Worst
we think?
episode of the season. Worst episode of the season.
No.
I thought this was like one of the worst episodes in years. I thought this was absolute dog trash.
Okay, so I don't know where we really want to begin with this. I just think in terms of how it was set up as an episode, it was bad. I thought the elimination was awful. Watching that was so cringeworthy. I couldn't handle it. The mission was atrocious. So long, so redundant. 2 people were able to complete it. It was just awful mission. And then the worst offense of all to me was how they have this like little montage. They have these hookups happen. They have the Love Shack play in the background. And they have Tori and Jordan get in bed together and sandwich in between Fessy and Nelson sleeping with random rookie woman who we could care less about. And it's treated like nothing happened. When this was like supposed to be like the biggest plot line of the season. I thought it was an abject disaster of an episode.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, before we came on, I thought about starting with us trying to say one positive thing that came out of this episode, and I think the only positive. Well, I probably shouldn't even say this on air, so I'm going to skip that. So I can't even say one positive thing, but I think it's in contention for worst episode since Zach and Jenna Total Madness. I think it's definitely
no.
that conversation.
We're nowhere near that level of.
It was what good came out of this episode? There was nothing entertaining that happened.
I definitely
all that happened is Nelson. What they did is Nelson did exactly what every other single person in the house would have done, and somehow they tried to play it off as he was some strategic mastermind. Like, what the fuck? Every single veteran in the house would have sent the 3 rookies in, and Darrell and Veronica, because they just came in the game and didn't have relationships with people. Every person would have done that.
So I would contend a lot of teams would have sent Michelle and Jay and Darrell and Veronica, so
sure.
that doesn't change anything. And then it's also like them setting up this deal where it's like, oh, Olivia's gonna like, make these agreements with everybody and like, backstep somebody if she needs to. Like, I just don't care about that. Like, it's just not relevant because maybe Olivin and Ratio will be able to stick around because they'll just be competent enough where they'll win their way out. But I don't know, man. That just didn't do anything for me. I mean, Nelson won a mission finally, broke the streak. That's really the one notable thing to come out of this episode for me. That's the only thing for me.
And the crazy thing is that he won a mission in an episode where at the start of the episode he said that he didn't want to win a mission. So what changed for him? So it makes it look completely
the fact that he could win a mission
critical.
Maybe, I mean, look at only 2 people completed, so maybe he just gave like what he thought was a mediocre effort, and then it went through.
No, he really wanted to win that. That's really what this boils down to. Like, he's saying that because it's a way to deflect away from the fact that he's not winning, and then when he actually could win, it was a big deal. Like, people do that shit all the time.
Okay, so without grading this on a curve, Trace, why is this episode good?
So, all right, let's hold on. Time out.
You're putting words in my mouth at the moment.
Let's each give a letter grade. Let's each give a letter grade.
I don't know if I can give it an F, but it's certainly a D minus.
I'll give it an F. Trace,
I gave it a C. It's fine. Like, that's the thing. Like, you call it grading on a curve. I'm so PTSD'd from Spies, Lies, and Allies that at least I feel like the storylines and the cast here is better. My issues with this episode are just in the shitty editing. Like, there are so many poor choices that are made. All right, so we talked about this a few weeks back. I'm just going to have to accept the fact that reality TV as we knew it is dead, and it's either keeping up with the Kardashian shit or it's competition reality shows, because even Survivor on this last episode had to spend another 8 fucking minutes on their existential crisis moment, and it annoyed the fuck out of me because it's just like, look, I don't watch reality TV to be reminded of people's misery and overcoming it. I watch reality TV to be entertained. So this whole let's cover everything super serious in reality TV is going to fucking break me at some point.
Well,
like, I cannot deal with this anymore.
I would say that they did that plenty in the past. It probably wasn't as much a percentage of the overall screen time. And I also think when it's not, then it feels a little bit more impactful. Like, if everybody has this existential crisis, then, like,
and that's my issue. That's my issue, is they're spending 5, 6, 7 minutes on somebody else's existential crisis in an episode. And it kills me.
Okay, so
It's not entertaining
Devin, you
at
seem like you
all.
really wanted to say something. What was it?
Sam Higdon in the chat gives it a C plus. Tracy says what gives it a D minus. Ross gives it a C plus. I feel like Ross needs to come on here and defend himself because this was one of the biggest flaming pieces of shit
I
I've
think
ever
it
seen
was
in my
well
entire
worse
life.
than most of the episodes on Spotlight and Hours. I would say that confidently.
Definitely. Like this,
Yeah,
this was
like
this is in contention for like some of the worst episodes from that season, and that's what I consider generally maybe the worst season of all time.
Like, I would consider it better than the one episode where, like, Emmy has her alien spiel, and then they all they all applaud her, and then Fessy and Josh, like, fight for 2 seconds at the end. It's better than that. And then everything else is kind of in the same mix. It just was bad, dude. Like, the mission was too long and too redundant. It was awful. It was so long.
All right, so you want to say good things. All right, let's talk about 3 good things from this episode. Number 1, that montage of all the hookups was decent. However, like you said, Jordan and Tori were sleeping in the same bed together. And we're just going to pretend like this isn't a big deal.
They
like,
brushed off to the side.
Like,
and let's also...
how does that kills so much of the season? Like, how does that happen? Because that should be like the most dramatic...
I want to know.
The most dramatic point in the entire season. And now it's like, oh, whatever. Like,
why don't you show this?
From here? So next episode, when we see Jordan and Tori, is there going to be like some sort of fallout from this? Is this just treated like nothing? Like, we don't even... Because we didn't even get a good idea of where they stood, really. They had one confrontation where they like hugged and made up to some level. But that doesn't really lead in terms of both within the game and relationship-wise, where they actually stand. And now it's just... I mean, look, maybe they just got in bed together and that's going to be treated as perfectly normal, and then them actually, like, any sort of more furthering of the relationship will be treated with a bit more sincerity.
I don't know. I don't have any faith in this production team. Okay, so let's go back to the montage, all right? First of all, completely out of context in this episode. All of that shit happened after they went to the club. So why do we feel the need to have an out-of-place montage at the beginning of the episode where we're just going to be like, it's the Love Shack? Well, it would make a hell of a lot more sense that Jordan and Tori, or we'll call him Jory from now on, all right? So Jory, they get in bed together. It would make a hell of a lot more sense if it was, hey, we've been out drinking all night and we just weren't thinking and we just wanted some comfort and we hopped in the bed. Because this could be a one-time thing. Like, it really could be. But let's at least put all of this crap in context. And the way I figured it out is when they started showing people heading back from the club, I went back later and watched the beginning of the episode. They were wearing the same clothes from the night they went to the club.
That makes a lot of sense.
They just shoved this thing in there as an out of context. Here's some fun content. Do
you think they made it last week after Nerys went on live and talked about everything that happened, and then people were like, "Oh, you guys missed a bunch of stuff." It's like, we'll jam it.
I don't even think we got Jordan's take on the whole situation. We got what Tori thought, but we didn't get any information from Jordan.
And even Tori's was so weird because she treated it seriously. She was not trying to brush it off. She was like, "Oh." I forget what she said exactly, but it was not like
she said something like it's comforting, and in this house you're looking for comfort.
Clearly there was emotion behind what she was talking about, and then got the Love Shack playing behind it. Like, it just made no sense in context.
So that editing was weird, and then there was also some additional editing later in the episode that was even... I want to see if either of you noticed it, but when it was pretty apparent that... or when Olivia and Horatio were thrown in, they threw in a random confessional with Olivia and Horatio dressed in completely different outfits that didn't seem like it took place within this period of time and must have happened later in the season. So once I saw that happen, it was very clear at that point, oh, okay, there's no chance that they're going in.
Well, yeah, it's also like Khalid and Kim are over the moon in their confessionals, and Elise is clearly the only thing she's missing is wearing black for a funeral on hers. So we haven't even touched on that yet. Trace, I don't know if you had more you wanted to go through over the...
So the other good thing that I thought was kind of funny was, what the hell was Tommy doing his Titanic impression in the middle of the challenge? Like, does he just realize they can't win, so he's just going to fuck around? Like, I mean, it was funny because they did start playing the Titanic music. That was pretty funny. I thought that was clever. And then the other thing that I thought was pretty good was Bananas had a good quote towards the end of the episode, which, by the way, they go to all the trouble of paying Johnny Bananas like 6 figures to show up on this season, and they gave him like what, 90 seconds of content this whole episode.
He's
Does
not doing
anyone
anything.
really
That
believe
was
that Johnny Bananas is in a house not doing stupid, funny shit,
that was
and
my
they're just not going to show it?
that was my other takeaway from this episode is they have all these characters that are on the show now, right? The cast is, I would say, pretty significantly better from what it's been the
On
last couple
paper,
of
this
seasons.
cast is actually good.
I don't know. I think it's okay. Like, I wouldn't say that it's good. I think it's just better from what they've been dealing with lately. And they don't show any of the people that are improvements.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that. And then we brushed on it a little bit. We get one of the worst eliminations we've ever had. If we did a top 6 worst eliminations, this would definitely be in the conversation. And this would be pushing for number 1.
It has to be the worst performance I can ever recall.
Yeah.
Right?
It's worst performance for sure. The
there's
worst
just
elimination is
nowhere-
always going to be Flaming Soccer.
That's actually pretty close to worst performance that they bring. I forgot about that one in terms of worst performances. Nelson actually got like a decent kick in or two, and he actually won. Corey's performance in that was horrendous. So that would be the one contender for worst performance. I mean, like, they basically couldn't begin the elimination, their pair, because he just couldn't get her up.
He's not physically able to hold her up.
Mm-mm.
Do we think if he had perfect technique, he could have gotten her up?
No, he's just not capable of pulling up.
I didn't think
He
so
just
either.
wasn't
He should-
capable.
Their strategy should have been to try and have her hold him up. I think that may have been
Mhm.
better.
It may have been better. I think. Look, clearly he's not built for this show. Just competitively,
Mm-mm.
he's lacking some physical capabilities for the show. So he's a very nice man, has many other skills in life. I also think they did actually screw him over quite a bit with how they set this up, because the rope just didn't seem like it was long enough, and where he was
There
in
was
the
no
pad,
leverage.
he's just like constantly reaching over.
No,
Like,
I
my
just don't
feeling
think.
was-
No, I just don't think he's strong enough to hold it up. Even if the rope's longer, he's going to get pulled even further.
No, but if the rope's longer, he can at least get some slack by him. He's not like leaning
Yeah.
over, reaching for it, trying to pull her.
That's one of it. So as someone who's done these types of
'Cause,
workouts
Rob,
before,
if-
not exactly that, but like if you have a longer rope, you can find some slack and put your whole body weight into it. And if you find those proper tipping points, he might have only been able to hold her for like 3 seconds, but he would have at least been able to pull her up. Like he couldn't even get
'Cause-
her off the ground.
Rob, if the rope's longer, then he's just off the back of the platform. Do you get what I mean?
We just have to hold her
'Cause-
from the end.
Even
No,
if
he
there's
just
more,
needs some slack.
he's just getting pulled off either way. I don't think it makes any difference at all. Like if the rope's longer, like he's not. So if the rope's longer, he's not going to be able to tilt back far enough to be able to hold her up high enough so she can touch the puzzle.
My thing is, if you look at, I felt like part of his issue was that it seemed like he was like reaching forward to grab it and was never able to actually like pull it back behind him. Like he's reaching, because the thing is with Kim is tall, so with Kim doesn't have to reach as far forward to grab the rope. It seemed like he was reaching quite a bit forward to grab the rope and having to pull it back. Again, clearly, like he just was not built for this. This was. I mean, they were
It
going to
was a
lose.
bad setup of an elimination. It was a bad setup.
Is there any other pair in the house where the guy do you think would not be able to do this with the girl?
You would honestly, I feel like, be kind of. I would be interested to see how Anissa and Jordan.
I was going to
fared
say
on
that he's got one.
That
hand,
one would be
bro.
rough because we know Anissa couldn't pull him up, and could he do it one-handed? Like,
Yeah, that'd be tough.
because that's because the rope was so short, he would have had to have been able to grip with both hands to really pull that up. And I mean, maybe Jordan's a ninja, so maybe he would have figured it out.
He certainly
But
would have had better
that would
understanding
have
of
been
leverage
tough.
than Tommy seemed to.
A lot of people in the
And it's
chat.
not
We're
like
not
he's
about-
pulling up.
A lot of people in the chat are
someone
also
that's
saying that this is
small.
pretty unfair in general.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't know what we do with this. The Nelson stuff, I guess, like again, great for Nelson. Finally won a mission. Happened to be on his birthday, so everything's coming up Nelson. It's just hard for me to care that much when it's like rookie team 2 versus rookie team 3. I know my phone. I got a text message and my phone fell down. When it's just like these random rookie teams that I don't have much stake in, it's just difficult for me to care that much about the outcome. It just all feels like the same, right? Because I would
It's
say
just, who
Horatio and
cares?
Olivia
It's just
have-
Olivia and Horatio saved himself for what, 1 to 2 more weeks? They're going to be right back in there again next week.
Yeah, I don't know if what we set the lines on who was going to get the most elimination wins this season, but they certainly seem like the clear runaway favorite for that.
Yeah. I mean, they're a threat. I mean, they're performing well. Granted, they're going in only really against rookies, and Kayla and Sam or whatever. But they're just going to keep getting thrown in, and eventually there's going to come a point where they've got to go up against Darrell, or they've got to go up against Bananas
Go
or
up against
somebody.
anybody. Like, if you just go up against like any the wrong person at any wrong elimination, you could lose. Like, it could go up against Annalise and Tommy, and it was like some gymnastics-based competition, and they lose.
Have we ever had a gymnastics-based competition?
That was the one that
No, but I really want to
Natalie
see it now.
Nagordian was pretty close to gymnastics, but they had to it was like, I guess, trapezes where you have to like go on that rope.
I really want to see the rhythmic gymnastics where they have the little ribbon. Like, I feel like we should have TJ out there with like Russian judges and see how this turns out.
For the mission, let's talk about the mission. I actually, like, if I had to talk about what one of the best parts of what the best part of the episode was, I'm not going to say what the best part of the episode is. Everyone probably knows what I think the best part of the episode is. What I think the second part of the best episode is potentially the mission. I didn't think the premise of the mission was that bad, but it should say a lot that if I think the best part of the episode was the mission, or one of the best parts of the episode was the mission, that should tell you what I think of the episode.
I thought it was unwatchable.
I don't get why Jordan and Anissa complete the mission. They're the only people that complete the mission to this point, and they have Jordan jump and get Anissa. If they're the only people that complete the mission, why doesn't everyone else adapt their strategy? What was the thought process here?
I don't know. We're not dealing with a bunch of master tacticians amongst the challenge cast, I guess. I think they just fell into
a situation where these people just don't care about winning now. Like, okay,
yeah,
we've got a vet team that won. Who gives a shit?
Where if you're not one of these rookie pair, if you're not one of the rookie pairs, and if you're not Jane, Michelle, or I guess Darrell and Veronica, who cares? Like, we're fine to just just not even barely attempt the mission, because again, like, barely anybody was able to complete it.
And that's a problem in and of itself. If people don't want to win these missions, then why do we even have the challenges?
I feel like that'll change pretty soon. Once Kim and Colleen go, and then Ratio and Olivia will still be getting put in. The thing is, you have to put in 4 teams. Like, that is quite a bit. So we're going to get to the point relatively soon where some of the pairs that we consider to have some equity are going to be forced to be part of the 4.
We're still almost to a month out. No, because we still have the 2 rookie pairs. It'll be interesting to see, and we can talk about this more later. It'll be interesting to see if this perception of Darrell and Veronica continues past this week, and if it does, how much further down the line it persists. And then we also have Jay and Michelle and Amber B and Chauncey. So that's 5. Those are 5 pairs. So it's
Amber
at least
B,
a couple
leader of the rookies this season, by the way. If you
the rookie coalition,
the rookie
ringmaster of the shit show is what that is.
Seriously, she call her Napoleon Bonaparte or something. Leading them into battle.
Oh my lord! The thing that kills me is the real problem with the show right now. Like, even keep this mission, keep this elimination as poor as it was. There's content they're leaving on the cutting room floor that would make this season so much better. So what came out on a podcast after the episode was when Darrell and Veronica came into the house. Veronica told Anissa and the other vets that CT and Cara were the other vet pair coming in.
They can't show that.
Just lied.
Why?
They're just not going to do that.
It's so much more entertaining.
It's so much more entertaining. Because at that point, it shows how manipulative and political Veronica is, and it takes heat off of her for just a little bit to get into an alliance and say, hey, we got to get our numbers together because CT and Cara were at the hotel. And when you see shit like that, it's like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Like, can you imagine the angry conversations that were occurring in that house when she told them that? They're going to bring in CT and Cara. We're fucked.
They're not going to do that because that would make for a way more interesting product if CT and Cara or Cara and Polly were brought in, and they don't want the audience to think about that. Be like, man, they guys really missed the boat here. Like, what happened?
Well, that's also true. That's actually a great point. They knew.
they're like, because like everyone's like, oh, this is great. They're coming, and then they don't come.
Do you think?
Dang, what happened?
But then you make a storyline out of it. How Veronica's a manipulative person and will lie and cheat her way through the game and you could even, right after she says it, cut to a confessional that says, hey, they're not here. but they don't know that yet. And so like there are ways you could cover it to not have people get, lose their minds with excitement and it not happen.
Do you think we're in a producers type situation where John Murray actually wants the show to fail for some reason, and that this is
No.
an attempt by him to completely submarine the franchise? Maybe there's some insurance money that he can claim. Maybe he has
I think this
some
is
contract
just a directive
incentives tied to this, where he wants another show to succeed, and they are completely out on the boat for the challenge.
They're making so much money worldwide with this show now that the problem is they can put out a shitty season and make a ton of money. Like that's where they're at now.
I mean, ratings are in the fucking tank. Ratings are dog shit.
US
they're out of the honeymoon period.
For the US it is. Like I'm with you, okay? Like the US ratings suck, but when you look at now how many other countries are airing the show and that there are networks paying them for the show, they are making more money than they ever have on this show.
So we knew that last season was broadcasted in more countries. Do we know how many countries this season is being broadcast in? How many of those people continue?
Like 30.
30?
Yeah.
I mean, how is that compared to like what they were doing before that? Let me see. Keep going.
It was like, it used to only be like 3. That's what I'm saying.
Part of it for me is that it's commonly known, particularly amongst like the tech workforce now, which I'm a part of, that the biggest skill you can have in your early career is interviewing. The best thing you can do is be really good at interviews because that gets you more jobs. More often you can switch jobs, tends to be more often you can make money. I think they just set up the show to be able to be marketed to all these. What can we have the cast be doing? What can we have this show look like? That will be the easiest to market to a wide variety of people, and just get those people to buy in. Because once they bought in, we've got their money. That's what we need to do. The quality of the product at that point becomes secondary for just our capability to sell the show. We look at how the missions are set up, how the eliminations are set up, who they cast, this stupid interrogations and draw that they have. That is the most pointless part of every single episode that takes up... how long are these things going to take? It's like a quarter of the episode of things that are just so irrelevant. It was a solid
20 minutes. Like, they start the draw for the elimination with 20 minutes left of airtime. But it's like, that's how long it takes.
But it's like, okay, we have the cast picking daggers out of a thing, and we have this like cool looking interrogation room. That looks great. We can sell that to people. So that's why they have those set up there. And I honestly think in a lot of ways they have actually optimized their product for that. And it could be best for the long-term financial viability of or maybe not short-term financial viability of the show, let's say. But it's not the best for me. I can say that.
I think the other issue is the CBS, Paramount, MTV is just taking more ownership of this is what the product will be, because what we get on All Stars is not what we get on USA or this property. Like, we just don't. And it's because what's going out on the networks, somebody somewhere who's in charge has made this decree for Survivor, Amazing Race, all these popular reality shows, that we're just not going to show the interesting content. We're going to give this sterile, straightforward, game-focused edit on everything.
So if they put All Stars 2 on MTV, what do you think would get better ratings on MTV? All Stars 2 or this crowd?
We're saying in the U.S. market specifically.
Anywhere. I don't give a fuck. Anywhere.
Anywhere.
If they promote All Stars 2 like they
it's exactly the same.
Season,
they do everything exactly the same.
All Stars 2 would have higher ratings.
Not if they're broadcast international markets. I don't think so.
We're just talking about the U.S.
No, I'm talking about anywhere. I'm talking about anywhere. Why do you think this? Why do you think this does better? Why?
Because when you are marketing a product internationally, who's watching it is way different. Just like
why does it? I don't give a fuck why it's marketed. Why does this one get better?
And actually, movies don't.
How are they? How is this being marketed? I'm talking about they're marketing them exactly the same. What's different?
How would they market them exactly the same? But if you look at the types of movies that generate a ton of interest internationally, it's not good movies. It's movies that have special effects, that have easy to understand plot lines, that are just easy to port over from one culture to another. And that's what they've moved this product to be. Well, that's absolutely the case.
Dude, but that doesn't have to do with how they're being marketed then.
It's not about... I'm saying when you say how they're being marketed, I'm saying what you can market in the show. When you're marketing this product, you can show what are they marketing in the show? What are they having in the show that would be more appealing to a foreign audience? Dude, people don't give a fuck about that. Yeah, they do. When you get
they tune out after a week. Dude, this show sucks.
When you get the international markets, they absolutely do. They absolutely do care
We don't
about
even.
that. They
We
care
don't.
about the cool
So
looking
we're talking about international markets. We don't know how much fucking money they're making from this. We don't know how many fucking people are watching this in international markets. We have no idea. We're talking out of our ass
We don't
on
have
this.
any idea. But I think you can look at
We don't know what the ratings are internationally. I have no insight. All right, so
we have no insight. We know that,
but
we do know that other markets have bought in, though. We know that they've bought in, so then we know that they paid
Do
money
we?
to have the.
We don't know that
Yes.
they've done that for this season. We do not. Show me something that shows how many places bought in for this season after the steaming pile of crap that came out of Spies, Lies, and Allies.
They don't care, though.
Especially because the value proposition for Spies, Lies, and Allies was that they had all these people from other countries. Now that all these people from other countries are not in the season, right? We only have one foreign pair, correct?
yeah, but here's the
you
thing
got
that
any
you're
Brits around?
leaving out. We've got the Germans, and we've got
Are there no Brits around right
we
now?
had Nom. We had Nom
Nom's
and his
out, though.
partner too, and then we had Turbo and his partner. So
gone.
there were 3 international pairs.
Someone Ross in the chat said that there's zero marketing in the UK for the show.
That doesn't shock me. So the thing is, think of it as a foreign TV executive, okay? You have X amount of hours to fill. All right? What is the easiest way to fill?
He said the challenge is on TV here at 11 p.m. on Monday. No one gets to see it.
Yeah.
So I should be specific when I'm talking
Thank
about
you for
marketing.
that insight.
When I'm talking about international marketing, it's not necessarily like the product being marketed to audiences. It's being marketed to people who are going to buy the show.
That is where I was going.
Spies, Lies, and Allies or Ride or Dies, when you have a show that's set up like this, that's a lot easier to explain to these people why this is appealing than something like All Stars.
Why? Mm-hmm. Like, what inherently about it?
Okay,
like,
so when you explain why All Stars 3 All Stars 2 is better than Spies, Lies, and Allies or Double Agents, why would they be better?
That doesn't matter.
Because the personalities of the show are more focused on All Stars versus the mission.
So you're showing the show to someone in a foreign area, right? Why would someone think that this show is better than All Stars 2?
They don't know any better.
I'm not saying that they would necessarily. I'm not saying you. I don't even know if you.
What are you saying then? I don't get what you're saying then.
I'm saying that you have these two products
saying.
that are not that when you're marketing these people. I don't think they've been edited yet. I don't think they have the full season ready to go. You're just explaining what is. Maybe you have some clips or something. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that like the types of things that do well in international markets are types of stuff that's easy to explain why it's valuable to people. It's again,
Rob, you can make these trailers look like whatever the fuck you want. Right? Still in All Stars 2, we still had trailer stuff going on. You can like add some explosions in that didn't even happen. It doesn't matter.
Well, wait, what's your reason then for why the circumstances are what they are?
Why what?
Why the circumstances are what they are with the main show?
Why the show sucks? I don't fucking know, dude. I was joking around about John Murray trying to like submarine the show. Like, of course I don't think that. I think it just sucks, dude. Like, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make a broad
explanation than any other one.
I think that they're trying to appeal to the widest audience possible. I think they can't get a lot of good people to come on. I think they're pretty clueless too about the people that would be good to have come on because I don't know. Like it's a bunch of shit. The format sucks. They don't do a good job at the eliminations. They don't do a good job at the missions. It would be more difficult for us to name things that they are good at than things that they are bad at, right? There's more things that they're bad at than things that they're good at. Really, I can't say much of anything good about this season. All Stars, USA, great seasons. It's incredible that some of the same people behind those seasons can also come up with this piece of shit.
Yep. And so let me back up Rob's point for just a second, and then I got another one. So when you think about this from an international standpoint, you're going to be showing this in countries where there is somewhat of a language barrier. So you've got to have dubs or whatever in some cases. But the other thing to think about is when you make the focus of the show mostly visual, from eliminations to the missions, all of that stuff, it's easier for international audiences to digest. Whereas if you have a show like, let's say, Duel 2 Episode 1, where you don't even see... Visual. That's visual, but you can't understand what they're fighting about. You don't know what they're upset at each other about. If you don't understand English, are the dubs going to get it right? That's a problem. And so the more international this show goes, the more homogenized it has to be.
This is insane because these things this bullshit. They're not mutually exclusive. You can do both at the same time. Why can't you do both?
I agree,
Why
but
can't you make it visually
lazy.
appealing and good? And
Well,
also, I highly doubt that they're having this conversation saying, all right, we need to dumb this down. We need to make this look really good, because when we show this in a lot of other countries, they're not going to be able to understand what's going on. So we just want to amp up the missions.
Know about that,
no,
dude.
there's no fucking way, dude. Dude,
Okay,
I
okay, so
highly doubt that.
So I have a
Have
friend
you seen
who-
any blockbuster
okay,
movies in the last 3 years?
let-
Like,
let's-
that's what they're turning into.
So I have a friend who has written a Hallmark movie. He wrote a movie for Hallmark, and he and his friend, they get together, they write the first script. It's really, really, there's a movie that they feel good about. They send it to Hallmark. It comes back less character development, less personality traits, more bland, less jokes. That's literally what they write. I am not exaggerating. That's absolutely what they write, and that's for U.S. market too. And there's probably a lot of crossover between a Hallmark movie market and a challenge market, even if it's not being successful right now. So
my wife freaking binges those things.
And I'm not trying to take shots at anybody's like intellectual. It's just like some people are interested in different things. Some people don't want to be thinking a lot about the TV they're watching.
So that's what I'm saying. That's a problem if they're doing that, right? Because if they're doing that, they can do all of this at once and make a better product. And so if they're showing these other shows on Paramount Plus, why is it different then?
Well, I mean, part of it's also
what?
a resource management thing. And that if we're going to care more about emphasizing this one value, we're going to hire people who are good at emphasizing that one value, not necessarily the other one.
I think I just nailed it. All right, you ready? So I'm going to compare this to pro wrestling for the 80 millionth time, but this will make a lot of sense. So in the 80s and 90s, when pro wrestling was at its zenith of popularity, it was based on the characters. Like, the characters and the people on the show drew the money. Well, as those people started leaving wrestling, WWE made a conscious decision to promote the brand WWE and focus less on the characters, because those are people and you have to pay them more and you have to do this and you have to do that. And if they leave and they get upset and your marketing is built around the characters, then your show suffers. So they made a conscious decision where it used to be like Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior is on the marquee. Now it just says WWE live event in your town. The challenge is doing the same thing, where as in the past, they relied on the personalities to sell the show. Now they are focusing on the brand of the challenge to sell the show. And the show is getting staler and more homogenized in that process.
I don't know. I think it's gotten granular to the level where there's just a way they air things. It's just choppier and it's just different now. They don't let moments really breathe. They don't give like extended weight towards certain things. I even think about this is a weird one to come up with, but so when Paulie and Josh had that huge blow up fight on World of Worlds 2, if you go back and watch that, and a lot of people criticize that moment because it's somewhat produced, because it involves Paulie, it's going to be somewhat produced. There's just a way they air around that's just different than it is now. There's a space they give to each of them talking. There's a way they underscore music to highlight a dramatic response that's different. It's just different than how the show chooses to edit around it now. And I don't see that changing really. It's unfortunate, but I think we're just looking at how this season is set up, and the fact that I understand the ratings have been down, but I still don't know that we have concrete proof the shoe is doing any worse, at the very least, outside of that. Or they're doing worse from a profitability perspective now than it's been in the past. So
probably not this season. Because the contract is already renewed for 39. So their money that they're going to receive to do season 39 is locked in. So the way they do it now is they lock in 2 or 3 seasons at a time at a certain rate, and they base it off the ratings of where they were. And that also means that the marketing budget for the show is set. All of those things are there. So right now we're living in a world where the ratings for Total Madness and Double Agents were through the roof. Total Madness was a solid season. It had its down points, the Zach and Jenna episode being Exhibit A, but it had a lot of high points, and we enjoyed a lot of that season. And then when the D thing happened, the season got shittier because they had to re-edit the whole end of the season.
I mean, it also happened during COVID.
Exactly. So these contracts that they're working on right now are based on the performance of what happened in COVID with Total Madness and Double Agents. So they put out Spies, Lies, and Allies. It sucked. The ratings for this season are a direct result of that. But they still have season 39 locked in. The real question will be, what is the contract and the money situation going to be for season 40, because they would be stupid with the ratings this show is getting right now to not do budget cuts, because the show is half as popular as it was even a year ago.
I still don't know if the money they're making off the show is that much different.
It's about to be.
We'll find out.
If half the people are watching. So I didn't see the ratings for last week. What did the ratings look like for last week? I know the first couple of weeks
it was
they were
400,000.
a joke.
It was terrible.
My thing is, like, the NBA ratings, for example, and this is true for a lot of sports leagues. It's not just them. They're just the one I know the most about. They dropped like crazy from about 2015, 2016 to 2020, and their TV contracts go up exponentially every single time.
Yeah,
that's a very different product.
Because live content is at a premium.
Sports, it's way different.
So you're thinking about it a little bit differently. Like, you're thinking over like a wider range of time where there's the media landscape is changing, right? Where people consume media differently, and there's a wider range of programming that people can watch. There's TikTok, there's Instagram. What we're talking about is the span of 10 months, right? Where the big of that that transition, nothing huge, that big of a transition took place in that period of time, except that people are just watching the show less. 10 months ago?
What about COVID?
10 months ago.
10 months ago wouldn't have been because the
10 months ago, 10 months ago, COVID was a rumor. All right. And even if it was COVID 10 months ago, that's not going to really change now. I mean, what is Buna Murray going to do and MTV going to do? Cross their fingers that there's another COVID spike up? That doesn't really sound like it's a successful strategy.
No, I'm just saying that, like, for Total Madison Double Agents, the ratings were artificially high because of, like, everyone's watching TV. Like, it was just a different world.
I agree with you.
Like,
they were getting a million viewers.
But we're talking about
a million viewers.
We're talking about Spies, Lies, and Allies versus this season.
How much different are the ratings from Spies, Lies, and Allies?
So Spies, Lies, and Allies would hit the 0.7, 0.8, so we're talking 700,000, 800,000 viewers. No matter what you do looking at this metric, they lost half their audience from Spies, Lies, and Allies.
Dude, and it doesn't help. This is insane. Both of you are going to agree with me on this. Not only are they showing the show on the same night as Survivor, they're showing it at the exact same fucking time. And we know that there's a large overlap in the viewership for those two shows. Even in our Discord, people say, "Oh, they have a conversation about." I saw this within the last couple of weeks. People talk about what they were going to watch.
Survivor Live or the Challenge Live, and watching Survivor Live.
And everyone says, or pretty much everyone that I've seen say, "Oh, I'm going to watch Survivor, and then I'll watch the recording of the challenge later."
It is such a bizarre.
It's not must-see TV.
So, like, I know. So for example, McDonald's puts a ton of research into where they put their stores. It's known that, like, that's a huge part of their budget. It goes into, like, okay, where are we going to put these McDonald's locations? Burger King puts essentially no money, and we're not going to put their stores because, like, okay, where there's a McDonald's 4 feet from there, that's where we're putting a store.
Yeah,
do we think that's kind of what happened here, and they didn't realize that they're, like, both owned by the same place now, and they shouldn't be doing that? Because it's like, oh, what is the ideal time to have a reality show? Oh, Wednesday night at 8. Okay, Wednesday night at 8. Let's go. Survivor's there.
I think the problem is that it's just the difference between network TV and cable TV, and people, as long as you hit a certain number on cable TV, that's good enough. You know, I really think that's what it boils down to. And at the end of the day, the challenge has been Wednesday at 8 o'clock, and even up against Survivor season 40, they were getting 1 million viewers, and they're just not getting it anymore. And it's because think about this, okay? In the way they edit the show now, would they have edited and aired what went down between Bear and Kayla on Total Madness on this season? Probably the way they are editing lately.
It would
probably
just be different. Not. It would just be different. But it's like that for anything.
So even Total Madness, even with its flaws, it still had some of the classic challenge content in there. You watch this, and it's just not there. There's some of your classic characters, but there's nothing that resembles the classic challenge stuff, period. Other than, there's a mission and elimination, and here's bananas.
I think every week they have to probably be in awe, knowing what actually happened when they were on location, and then watching the episode back and seeing all of the things that they didn't show. That has to be pretty jarring for them.
Mm-hmm.
I would just rather watch like unedited footage of the cast. Just I
Yeah,
don't even know.
for
Like
sure.
getting ready for bed. Like that's more compelling content than
So
the show.
when they had Darrell and Veronica come into the game last night, and they talked about how Darrell and Veronica have known each other for been friends for 20 years, and they talked about how I think Darrell talked about how he got his first win with Veronica on the Gauntlet, and they showed the video of them on the Gauntlet. I thought to myself, man, I'd really rather be watching the Gauntlet right now. And I watched.
Yes.
I just searched after this episode was over last night. I just searched Gauntlet episodes. Episode popped up on Vimeo. Watched the first 4, 5, 10 minutes of it. So much more enjoyable.
Oh yeah, because it was about the people and the competition. It was part of it, but it was about the people.
For my,
It's not about the people anymore.
it's so much that's a competition. It's like set pieces for me that just bothers me. Like they're just continually trying to just, I don't know, force in like stuff that's artificially good, but it's not compelling to consume.
Yeah. The other thing that's a problem with the show too, and this is I think a problem with TV in general, and it's probably why we have to do the existential crisis moments to cut up time, is why are these TV executives so fucking afraid of Twitter? Like, who cares what some asshole on a social media site says and starts a let's ban this person or let's do this or cancel this?
I don't think that's the issue.
Oh, we love this.
I think that's
we
a lot to do with it. I agree
this.
with it. I think a lot.
I just do not understand because granted, I'm 38, so I'm a boomer to most people at this point. I mean, I'm the old man
you
that
skip
yells
Generation
at clouds,
X.
all right? Yeah, well, yeah. And so, to Gen Z, I am a fucking boomer. I was called a boomer the other day because I said something that was like, kids these days do not understand how to put their phone down. And they're like, okay, boomer. And I was like, well, you're
pretty
holding your
boomer
fucking
take,
phone
Chris,
and
I have
not
to
looking
say.
me in the eye. But they're literally talking to me, but they're staring at their phone and doing all this shit. And I'm like, hey, I'm actually trying to have a conversation with you. Well, then put your fucking phone down and find another way to deal with it. Anyway, my point is, I feel like that the online mobs are given too much weight because realistically, let's be real for just a moment. Let's have a thought exercise. What can a Twitter mob really do to you? Organize a boycott of people that already aren't consuming your content.
No,
like, who gives a shit?
What I'm talking about is like,
have we ever seen a successful like Twitter boycott? Right, the people that produce media always cave before it gets to that point.
But
right,
that's the problem. That's the thing.
I don't think that's causing problem. Like they put on Turbo and Jordan, people who are rumored to have been. They put on Naya, who was rumored to have not been allowed on the show. I don't. Are you saying just from the content they're airing perspective? You think that's
what I'm saying is the content they're airing. They're trying to put out a product that won't offend anybody.
I don't think
so that Twitter woke mobs don't come after them.
The content they had before was offensive in any way, even if they aired it now.
But that's the problem. Something is always offensive to somebody.
So if they wouldn't have edited D out of the rest of Total Madness, would people have really just been like, all right, that's it. Challenge is over. Challenge is canceled. No one watched the challenge.
Do you think
that would have actually happened? You think that actually would have happened?
They would have had the same exact fucking ratings. They would have had the exact fucking rating.
That wouldn't have happened, but again, that was a very specific circumstance, a very specific time. I'm just talking about
now. We're not saying we agree with Dee, by the way. Everybody, listen to this. Like what she did was.
I do not agree with
Dee. I don't think we even need to bring.
Do not agree with Dee, okay?
But I don't think if they just look at like a random War of the Worlds 1 episode, that the content they aired on that, any of the people would say is offensive. I think that the issue is people are like, if you look at how a lot of podcasts are produced now, there's constant sound effects. You have no clue what's going on conversation-wise. You're constantly jumping in and out, breaking clips from things. I think that's a lot of the same attitude that's affected the show. That's just how a lot of content is produced at the moment.
So basically what you're telling me is they produce for the lowest common denominator?
I mean, I don't...
With no attention span?
I feel bad because I think some people, it's not like a sense of their actual intellect as much as just some people don't feel like thinking about what they consume as much. But I think that's a lot of what it is. Like you look at podcasts, how a lot of video shows are produced. It's a lot of the same things that we complain about on this show that have been happening for some time, but have definitely grown more popular in recent years. Where it's just here's cut in this clip from this thing. Here's like random sound effect bridging between different scenes. Like that's just what people do.
I guess my this really has nothing to do with the challenge, but it's really more of my existential crisis moment of our podcast episode. So I'll throw one of these in there.
At noon?
Are we just getting at a point in society where things are just going to be more homogenized, period? Because I don't know about y'all. I like things that are different, and if I don't like it, that's fine. Somebody else might like it. Like, why do we have to have a product that appeals to the widest audience possible if the widest possible audience version of something really isn't good? But because it's not offensive or it doesn't cross any, like, it is what it is. Like, I realize that there are some things that we've done in the past from an entertainment perspective that have had negative consequences. So we want to avoid that. Like the angry white boy culture that I was a teenager in could be pretty damn toxic at times. And so like, I would agree. We don't want to flip that switch, but like we've seen on All Stars that you can put out a product that has personality spotlights, has some personal stuff, but is still interesting to watch. Like it's not that hard. They just did it.
So it's as the product grows bigger, it's going to become more homogenous. You're trying to reach a bigger base at that point. That's a universal business philosophy. So I think when you have this product, which you're trying to build up and up and up, it's going to become more homogenous. You're trying to appeal to more people. Whereas like All Stars is more niche than it have to be as homogenized. I don't think that's a cultural thing as much as it's just.
But doesn't there come a point though where if you homogenize it so much, it's just like everything else on TV, and then it becomes irrelevant?
Well,
like,
there's probably some level. There's probably like a cliff you fall off of at a certain point. Yeah. But I think that, I mean, I would hope that they're at least intelligible enough to like continue scooting up to it and the cliff as the product grows. And again, like as I was being alienated with 3 people. Like if they alienate 3 people, but they get 9 more to tune on, 9 more people to be interested.
But we're not just 3 people though. That's the problem. Their ratings have been cut in half since last season. So 400,000 people have made the decision. Fuck this show. I'm out.
Gone.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So we've I think talked about the episode for 15 minutes and bitched for about 30 minutes.
I was going to say you complain about all them talking about existential crisis. All we do is have existential crises about the product each week. We don't even talk about like the actual game that's going on.
I'm very sympathetic to the people who complain that whenever we don't talk about the episode, which we used to do that more. I feel like or at least me myself, I'm consciously more aware of that now. Do we just want to fly through some of the stuff that happened in the episode so we can say we can talk about it?
Let's take 10 minutes and let's just fly through it.
All right, no, we're just going to fastest 5 minutes again like we did last week. So episode starts, TJ comes in, brings in Jarrell and Veronica. Amber B talks about how she's happy to see Jarrell because she was paired with him on her first season. Back at the house, Veronica says that they're going to get over Jarrell's fear of heights. Jarrell says he doesn't want to sleep next to Tori because she farts. That was actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
Tommy wants to talk with Olivia and Horatio to kind of bury the hatchet about what happened last week. That did not happen. Laura and Horatio are shown together flirting. Obviously, they've been building on this for a couple of weeks. Something's probably going to happen soon because Horatio is probably going to go home very soon. So I think they kind of need to.
They're going to have to get to it.
Finish that
storyline. How is that? Just very, very quickly. Sorry. How is that relationship built up more than Tori and Jordan?
I don't know. It's a great question.
Like, Pat,
it's a great question.
In the text messages, like, they don't air that type of content anymore. They don't actually show a relationship like building and stuff. I'm like Laurel and Horatio. Who cares?
Horatio.
This is their ex-fiance.
You know, I will say this. This was another thing in the episode that made me laugh. That you triggered it in me when you said that. It really looks like Horatio was enjoying the attention. But Laurel looked like a cougar stalking her prey. And I know she's not that old, okay? Like, I'm not saying she's old and is an actual cougar. But, like, she kept coming up and, like, hugging him. And the look in her face was like, I'm going to get you into bed as soon as I possibly can.
Do you think he's just not into
it? We've got about 4 minutes because my phone feels like it's on fire right now. So I think
all right, let's keep going. All right. Let's fire. So Olivia talks with... Amber B and Reese and Michelle. This is essentially the rookie coalition.
I do quite enjoy Reese.
We get the moment.
Good.
We get the moment at the fire pit outside where Colleen talks about how she's grateful for the energy in the house, and Fessy says that he's not looking for love. Next scene, Fessy carries Colleen into bed. Fessy and Colleen hook up. Jordan and Tori are shown together, and Olivia and Nelson hook up. After that, we get a scene where Nelson says that there's no reason for someone to want to win a mission right before he wins a mission. We get to the mission. No one completes the mission.
Everybody sucked.
No one completes the mission except for Anissa and Jordan and Nelson and Nerys. They give credit to Nerys for coming up with the correct strategy. But based off of what we saw, Jordan and Anissa were the ones who had the strategy first, which doesn't necessarily.
Well, I think that was out of necessity. Could we really think that Anissa was going to get higher than 6 inches off the ground?
I don't think Anissa's making that jump.
Like, and I don't mean that to be mean to Anissa, but like, when has she shown any athleticism?
Let's keep again. I've got
back. We're flying through this. We're almost done. Back at the house, Nerys talks to Nelson. She wants to put 2 vet pairs down in there, which would be a terrible move. And I get why she wants to do it, but it would be a terrible move. I don't know if she actually
even wanted to do it. I think they might have just edited around that.
They said that.
Well, I'm just saying.
She wanted to keep her friends that she'd made around, and Nelson's like, "This ain't about friends. This is a business trip."
So we
gotta keep on. We
get the night out. The next scene at the night out, Tommy and Annalise talk to Nani, try to get her advice about what to do because they know that they're going to be thrown in. Nelson and Nerys talk with Olivia and Horatio. Nelson said he almost didn't want to win because he knew that we would have to throw Olivia in. They come up with the plan, whatever fucking plan this is,
big brain,
to try and save them.
Bullshit.
We get into deliberation. Olivia and Horatio are thrown out. All the people are thrown out. Then we get to interrogation. Tommy and Annalise are pretty much told by Nelson that they're going to go in. Colin and Kim make a deal with Nelson to save Olivia and Horatio if they're the ones that aren't guaranteed to be thrown in. After interrogation, and Annalise and Tommy have their moment together where, they whatever.
Yeah.
We get a montage
their
of
existential crisis of the week.
The one interesting thing is they do encourage them to make the same deal Annalise and Tommy did last week. That's literally the exact same thing that they told them to do, and that was such a big deal. Yeah, that was Olivia's big plan. So I thought that was.
They do exactly what Tommy and Annalise
exactly
did.
The same thing.
Exactly the same. We get the montage. That's a very good point. We get the montage of everyone getting ready for the elimination. Then we get one of the worst eliminations in the show's history.
Okay, I do really.
Tommy and Elise go home.
Because I do actually have a bit more here, but I've got to jump off.
Thank you for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
All right.